Leoni's Life Lessons for Little Learners. Leo Leoni is an internationally known author and illustrator who has created the bar for children's picture books and unique illustrations. He and his 40 books have accomplished many honors, such as winning numerous Caldecott Awards, becoming an American Institute of Graphic Arts Gold Medal recipient, and being honored with the Society of Illustrators Lifetime Achievement Award. Leoni's stories are known for their illustrations and positive themes. Through the course of the 40 books written by Leoni, he has stayed within a certain genre, for most of them, low fantasy. Leoni's work contains low fantasy that incorporates a magical element like animals talking to each other into the real world. In reality, animals do not communicate or create relationships like we as humans do. Low fantasy is easily seen through the animal's ability to talk and have relationships. But the author uses real settings and realistic animals that are living lives in situations that are realistic for that animal or creature. Another example is in Swimmy, where Swimmy is in a school of fish that live in the sea and face big dangers like being eaten by a tuna fish. The setting and the scenario are realistic and even informational for the reader. But the fantasy lies in Swimmy talking to the fish and trying to devise a plan as a group to overcome the danger. Leoni sets the genre from the beginning by introducing the character from the start of the story and having them talk to other characters so the tone is set to expect the animals to talk. Leoni's stories are vivid and flow from page to page, creating the memorable children's books they are. The success of Leoni's books are of no surprise to readers because of his excellent use of literary elements. In Leoni's stories, he utilizes various settings, ranging from meadows to even a house. For the stories that do have particular settings, Leoni does not change it, but instead he has it remain constant throughout the story. For books like A Color of My Own, do not display a setting since the story is focused on a specific creature. Instead, the setting is represented as everywhere and nowhere, which is a common tool in the fairy tale stories. Leoni's use of characterization is developed through the main character's relationships with others, as well as through the main character's sense of themselves. In books like Swimmy, Swimmy is developed as standing out amongst the other fish, but still remains a part of a school of fish. The conflict in Leoni's books are usually centered on the conflict between the character and nature, or the conflict within a character. Since Leoni's books are usually based on animals, the conflicts are centered on surviving situations that are common for the particular animal. An example of this is found in the story Frederick, when the reader is able to see how the character handles the situation of running out of food while waiting out the winter. All of Leoni's stories cover valuable, uplifting, moral ideas. In the story Alexander the Wind-Up Mouse, Alexander wishes he was a wind-up mouse, because everyone loves Willie the Wind-Up Mouse, and they chase Alexander off with brooms. Alexander begins envying Willie, but once he comes to see how people will throw Willie away, he no longer wishes to have that life. The moral being, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. The intended audience is young children who can connect with these colorful, simple stories. Leoni uses a third-person point of view to tell the story from an outside perspective, allowing him a broad range of choices of what to show the reader. Leoni's style is demonstrated through his visual literacy, in which the story is emphasized or clearly understood through the pictures. The moral themes are very important to the appeal of this story, but the illustrations really help communicate the story to the reader. Leo Leoni has become the most distinguished and innovative artist of the 20th century, and has been quoted as saying, "When I was asked what I wanted to be when I grew up, the answer was always, without hesitation, an artist." Little Blue and Little Yellow was the first children's books that Leo Leoni created, and it set the tone for what would become his very recognizable illustration technique. Leoni created this book while on a train with his grandchildren as a way to keep them from misbehaving. He tore pages out of the magazine and found on them small pieces of different colors, which he used to tell stories of two friends. Leoni uses colors to enhance the story of Frederick. While the mice are gathering food for the winter, the colors are bright and representative of springtime, But when winter comes, the colors that he uses are pale and muted. Even the mice look darker, surrounded by the gray undertones throughout the picture. Lionni also uses texture in a unique way in many of his books. While he uses cut paper collage to illustrate his books, the paper is not precisely cut, but instead he tears the paper to give it texture and more authentic look. An example of this is in the books Frederick and Alexander and the Wind-Up Mouse. The mice look as if they have fur because Lionni rips the paper to create the body as opposed to cutting it. While Lionni is known for his collage technique, he has also been known to use sponge paintings as another medium. In swimming, Lionni uses sponge paintings to recreate the feel of the ocean, so readers are able to visualize the life that can be found in there. For example, the school of fish is red, so they stand out, which is perhaps the reason they are caught by the big fish. Lionni typically paints his pictures in double-page spread, which he may use to signal to the reader that they should take a moment to look at the events that are unfolding. He has no borders around his pictures, which gives the reader the impression that there is more going on than what we are able to see. Using swimming as an example, it shows that the ocean is so vast that it cannot be contained within the pages of the book. Rather, we are getting a glimpse into the world that lives underwater. Lastly, Lionni has integrated the text within the pictures in many of his works. The text is printed on the top of the illustrations and is at times difficult to read. All of the elements combined are the reasons that Lionni has become one of the defining leaders in the picture book field.